Child, when I say the Lord was speaking last night, baby, and I was just like, what in the attack is going on here? So I was I was asleep. I'm like, dang, why some of the part of the dream? Oh, I was in my dream. I was on the phone with a sister in Christ, and me and this sister, we really do in waking life. We talk a lot, a lot, a lot, and we're very, very close. So I know that the Lord is speaking about someone speaking to someone that they're close to, right? And whoever this person is around that you're around lacks discernment. Okay, and I don't mean that. Oh, Lord, wake up, sister girl. I don't mean that in like a negative way or anything. Just people be at different levels, and maybe they have not learned a lesson that you may have learned already. So, anyways, in waking life, this sister got discernment. Okay, she be on point. We be in sync. But whoever this is for, there may be a person, an individual that you connect with on the phone frequently. So in this dream, my daughter was there, and it looked like I was home. Okay, so um, the house, like the living room was very big. The kitchen was in the front, so it was the front door of the kitchen, then the living room, and behind it, if you walk down, then there's one bedroom. It was one bedroom, right? And I remember it was just very dark. It was very dark in the house. So as I was cleaning up in this dream, which I was you in the dream, right? So as I was cleaning up in this dream, I was going back and forth from like the bedroom to living room, and then finally I was in the room, in the bedroom, and my daughter walked in, and she said, "Look, mommy, daddy's glasses." And the Lord was highlighting that to me about like a spouse getting 20/20 vision, a spouse, something to do with the vision of this spouse, right? So my spouse does not wear glasses in waking. So I, once again, like I said, I know that this is for somebody. You may even have a child with them, or just a child in general. So, and it doesn't really matter what age. That may be a strong possibility, but catch the pieces that's for you. All right. Now, I was like, what are you talking about? So I walked in the living room, and long and behold, my spouse is sitting on the couch. And I remember getting embarrassed because I wasn't sure how long my spouse had been sitting there, right? And I did hear my daughter was playing, but I was like, the odds of my spouse being here, because sometimes we start projecting. I was projecting in my actual real life, right? Like, he can't get in my house. But when I walked around and I seen my spouse, he looked angry in the face, right? And somebody, you gave your spouse a key, okay? All I remember the Lord saying is he has a key. And I was like, no, he don't. And God was like, yes, he does. And I'm like, okay. So someone, you may have given your spouse a key to your home, a key to a space where you are dwelling consistently, right? Where he has access to. And you may not even be thinking that this person will pop up, but long and behold, let you be doing a regular activity like cleaning, and then he just pop up, and you was in your bedroom. You get what I'm saying? So it was so funny the fact that we were on the phone, and I was completely embarrassed. I was off guard. I had so much stuff going on because, like I said, in the dream I had one child. So I'm just like, he might be looking at me funny because I left this baby by themselves in the living room. You get what I'm saying? Good morning. And yeah. So the end of the dream transition, and the Lord was telling me that somebody's having similar dreams, like the second part that I'm about to explain. You're having dreams of you walking into stores, whether it be a food truck or something like that, and these people, these demons, are dressed up as regular people, sitting there monitoring you, trying to get you to eat things in these dreams. And what they're trying to do is they're so desperate to put the covenant back together. What they need in some of these that don't have food is for you to pull out your card and to pay. And they're trying to do rituals, wealth transfers. They're trying to do destiny transfers. They're needing something from you, right? Which is an agreement, right? Essentially to tap into you. So God was speaking to me about, you're not tripping. You are discerning. It doesn't matter if anybody else around you does not understand this. You need to understand this. I was standing outside the store in this dream, and I was like, this chick looked really familiar. And she kept saying she didn't. I was like, saying like, didn't we braid hair together or something to do with hair? And what it was a familiar spirit that was trying to act like they were not a familiar spirit. They just kept saying, no, I don't know you. I said, you don't know so and so? And I kept hearing the Lord say, she's lying, she's lying, she's lying. Like, you're not tripping, you recognize this girl. So we talk a little bit, and I'm like, how about I just go in the store? I wasn't planning on shopping because in my mindset, I'm a saver. Okay. So I'm like, I really need to save. My mind was set on saving. And then I go in the store and I see something that was on clearance. And it was ridiculously on clearance. Like it said it was 700 and something dollars originally, and it was on clearance for like $7 and some change. I was like, how does it go from being that expensive? You get what I'm saying? It was in the hundreds to $7. So I was like, I want it. When I grabbed it, I wanted to look into it. I feel like the Lord was like, look into it. Don't just buy it. I want you to look into it. When I look into it, it was nail polishes and stuff. So they even will put stuff that you're interested in these dreams. They will put food that you actually like, clothes that you actually like your style, right? So I looked in and all the nail polishes were like spilled out and broken. This dream started to get demonic very fast. And it was a little bit scary, like when I woke up. But when I was in it, I was so angry. So, boom. So I was like, I'm just not going to buy it. There was only two, and even the other one was not good. So the dude at the counter, the Korean dude, right, at the counter, he starts, and that may even be like the person that been messing with you may even be Korean, who knows. But anyways, so he walks off, and there was another woman in the store, and he's talking mess. So I start talking mess. This Korean dude turned like into a black person. Okay. Now, mind you, I had a moment prior to in this dream of a black person, of this dude that I think he was like an Uber driver or something in a dream, and he was gay, but like he wasn't like out there promoting it. Essentially, like I could just tell by his mannerisms and stuff. But anyways, it then turns back into that dude, like a familiar spirit once again, transfiguring into whatever, right? Transforming, whatever you want to call it. So I kept telling the sister in the dream, I kept saying like, this person is not of God, right? And the sister was not catching it in the dream. And I was getting so frustrated. And what happened was they started to gaslight me spiritually. So I feel like someone has been around a person, a group of people. One person may genuinely just not get it, right? Where others, they're literally wolves in sheep's clothing. They're going to church, they're playing a role, but they really are, divinationers. Look, I made that into a new word. But so what happened was this dude is Korean, right? So he got this mask on. He's a whole nother person. He's not even Korean underneath that mask. He's a black trans person. I kid you not. And they and people that practice divination can take on other forms and things like that in the spirit. They can change it to where you'll think that you're being a Korean is messing with you whole time. No, it's a black person. This trans. Like, so this is a perfect example of what's really going on in the spiritual realm. And they'll do that, like they'll take somebody else's picture to fool you and to take the heat off of them, right? But anyways, so the Korean dude was like, I'm of God. And he starts praying. And when he starts praying, I remember I kept telling the sister, and there's two people praying around him, laying hands like this towards him. And I remember telling the sister, I said, it's not even that he's praying that's bothering me. It's the fact his heart is what's frustrating me. He's literally doing this to make me feel some type of way, specifically spiritually. And the sister's like, no, calm down. And she kept looking at me like he's praying, be quiet. I kept saying, I rebuke you in Jesus' name. I rebuke you in Jesus. And I kept screaming it out mid-prayer. And I kept pausing. And what happened was the spirit that was in behind the Korean man came to the top. And it was a trans person. And even what I realized is once this black person manifested that was trans, that wasn't even the real person. They were masquerading and using the image of another trans person. And then after me consistently rebuking, calling out the lies of the enemy, because the Bible tells us to go and expose, and it's 9:11 a.m. my time, you guys, 911. God is saying something. There's urgency in this. I eventually saw the actual face. It took me several rebukes, several intercessions to literally go. It went from the Korean dude to another Korean looking dude to a black person to the real person. And I just remember thinking, we was on a FaceTime call. We went from in the store to a FaceTime call. And God was just talking to me about like there being different versions of face to face. Like you can be physically face to face, or you can be FaceTime, and that is like the further distance. But God was revealing what was going on behind the scenes. And I just remember like, man, this person is really ugly. Now, what reasons why some of the witches and warlocks, my allergies are acting up. Reason why some of the witches and warlocks do this is, say there was a trans person, right? And they were dating another trans person, and they got really frustrated at that person for cheating on them or whatever, right? They then will start doing stuff to people spiritually, but pinning it on the opposite person, getting their photos and doing stuff like that, so that when someone that's not spiritually equipped, that operates in word curses and hexes and stuff, sees them in the spirit, they're not going to go under layer after layer after layer after layer to get the truth. They're just going to say, you're the culprit, right? Many of these witches, they don't have discernment. They have gifts, but each gift you have to use discernment with. But I know this is a lot, you guys, to dissect. And I said, just put it up there. Whoever this is for, I'm telling you, there's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing, you guys. There's somebody playing with your kingdom marriage, whether it's a spirit spouse or a person behind the scenes, and they're pinning it on somebody else. So you're like, oh, maybe it's the ex, and the whole time it's the mama, the family member. You get what I'm saying? Doing witchcraft on him or her. So please take this word back to the Lord. Whatever was pouring in your spirit as I was speaking, 9 times out of 10 is what the Lord is saying. Okay? Don't go to the second thing that, popped in your spirit or in your head as I was speaking. Go with the first mind. The enemy likes to play on that. Right when God gives you truth and revelation, immediately he comes to counteract it with lies. Right? So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, I'm going to keep this up. Okay? I'm going to keep this up. Bless y'all.